actual scale modelling for the next build. I'm building this Junkers JU Stuka by Trumpeter. Scale is 1:24. As you can see, it's quite a big kit this. So in the box, we have the usual paint marking sheet. There's two variants here. One for the aircraft called Irene, that's an 827A2, and the other one is for a 1938 version. So that's that. We have the decal sheet, quite large decals on it, not very many at all. I would have liked to see more actually now. The instructions, your normal and free instructions, quite a nice booklet. Even though it's a big kit, I prefer this sort of style booklet. It's easy to control and handle on the bench while I'm working. We'll be just have the marking in sheet. So the actual kit itself, the fuselage, you can see how big it's going to be. It's just under half a metre, or just over half a metre in length. So that's it. We have the bombs. I would imagine this is the tail or something like that, I'm not sure. So that was big parts, obviously, being a 124, being massive. Here are the rudders and flaps and wheels. The engine block. Some smaller weapons. More bombs. It has rubber tiles. There's a small foot etch tray here. Not sure what that will be for. I'm sure not to use it because I don't like using foot etch. But the box is nicely divided now into two little compartments. So here we have the middle portion of the wing, the main fuselage, props and nose cone, the interior. I would imagine those are more flaps and the gear for the undercarriage, and the wings. So you can sort of pick the wings out. It's a really huge kit. Will be the clear parts, I assume. Yeah. We've got 2 trees of the clear parts. Let me have a look at this. Yeah, I was looking to give you 2 options for the clear parts of the canopy. It'll be a straight out of the box build, nothing fancy going on. I was thinking about getting some 4H parts for the cockpit, but I couldn't find any in the 124 scale. So I'll go and have a look at this and prime it, and we'll get into the build. Before I begin, I'm just pointing out there the tape that I've got on the tree. And what I do is I take the lettering off the tree, mark it on a piece of tape, and then stick that tape on the tree. I also paint in the number as well, or the letter on the sprue. That's just it. It's easier to find each sprue as you're working along. I tend to take them all out of the box and have them standing upright in a specific place where I can just go and get them, and they're all separated and I can find the letter I'm looking for easily. So to kick it all off, I'm starting with the engine block. I'm just assembling it out before I paint it. It's entirely up to you how much detail you want to put in this, and depending how you want to display your model, because technically this whole unit can be sealed up within the fuselage and you really won't see a lot of it. In fact, you probably only get to see glimpses of it, if anything at all. But I thought I would build it and paint it a little bit, just to show you it being done. I put in a little bit of detail, but not all of it. should point out also, I did have some fitting issues with this engine block. It didn't really fit that well together. I had to take off the location pins on the end units here just to get it to fit onto the main block. So the first colour is Revo Aquacolor 90 Silver, and this is for a supporting bar that runs in between the main block. And Revo Aquacolor 57 Grey, this is for the bulkhead that's connecting the main fuselage to the engine block. Now this is where you can put in a lot of detail if you wish. And it's the same colour with the engine support beams, the Revo Aquacolor 57 Grey. Tamiya's X10 gunmetal is being used for the little levers and rails that go onto the back of the bulkhead. I'm also using Revo Aquacolor 08 Matte Black for the little canisters that get placed onto this bulkhead as well. There's two of them that have to go on. We can begin assembling now. So this is the support bar that goes in between the engine block. There's a couple recess points for it just to slot into, and then the bottom plate. Now this had to be slightly modified as well. The location pins for this had to come off. If you're going to be putting in a bit of detail into this engine block, if you're showing it, if your kit's like mine, so you have to modify it slightly, you will have to refill the area that this little pin goes into, because it was just slightly smaller than the main unit, so it doesn't fit. So hence why you had to take off the pin. But of course it leaves a little hole which will need to be filled up. But once that, one of the pins were off, I only had to take off one. It fitted in okay. While it's drying, using Tamiya's Withering Master B and the suit component to highlight some of the wiring and pipework that's on the back of this bulkhead. I use a brush sharpener for this. If you watch my other videos, you'll see me explain it before, but it's a perfect way to add the pigment. If you're careful enough, it shouldn't rub on to the background component, just on the raised area, and it highlights all these little ridges and area that are prominent on the butt plate. And then it's back to Tamiya's X10 gunmetal and just detailing more of the items on the bulk plate here. Also the Revo Aquacolor 90 Silver, for the same purpose as the gunmetal colour, just highlighting different areas. I think this is some sort of little gasket thing on the bulkhead. There's two small units that go in between the gasket colours on the main engine block, so I'm just building them now. But before I can attach them, I'm using Revo Aquacolor 09 Anthracite Black, and this is the main colour of the engine block. I decided to use some of the photo etch in the end, just to see how I go on with it. And all I'm using is a little bit of super glue, two small tiny dots to attach it. There's other cements and glues that you can use to attach this, but I'm quite happy using super glue, although if you do knock it about too much it will come apart, because it doesn't provide 100% bond, so just be aware of that. I'm using Mr. Hobby H28 metallic metal black, and this is for the two units that go in between the two gasket heads. I just wanted it to be a different black, and this shade of black is in between a silk and gloss black. There's 4 recess points for this, so 2 for each unit that you're placing in. Both of them should just drop in easily enough. It's now time to attach all the little levers that go onto the bulkhead. There's various ones to attach, just make sure your location before you put them on. And even though I'm just putting minimum amount of detail in, yeah, you can see it there, it's standing out quite nicely. I'm building the 2 end parts to the engine block now. The first one is various little units all onto the one centerpiece that is these two halves. They just slot in easy enough together. Since there's a few, I work from my bottom up to the top of the unit, depending how you like to do it. But I just took all the parts off the sprue, lined them all up, then methodically just added them on as I went along. And at the other end is the drive shaft for the prop. This can be free moving if you wish. There's a little polyclap cap that goes at the end, so where my thumbs are, it just pops in there. You have to push it in quite firmly for it to connect, but saying that, you do not have to put in any cement though if you want it free moving. It will hold. So both ends are getting painted in Revell Aquacolor 91 steel. Just a light covering here, but you're not really going to get to see that much of it or any of it at all. And I'm using Revell Aquacolor 90 silver for the sides of the engine block, just to highlight detail. I'm using a combination of both the silver and steel colours by Revell Aquacolor to do the exhaust system, gaskets and pipes here. I'm building the engine brackets now. The brackets are and getting painted in X10 gunmetal. And now for assembly. The drive shaft for the piston goes on first. That should just click into position. And on opposite side the other unit fits. It should just slot into position. Next to go on is the exhaust pipes and furniture. The main exhaust connector won't be fitted until the side brackets go on, but you can do the other little two parts first. In fact, it's essential you do them first, so that once you place the bracket on, you don't have to try and get them underneath the actual framework of the bracket. And to fit this framework, it's quite simple. There's just a couple of little location points at each end, and they just fit in. Do both at the same time, that way you can hold it for 1 or 2 minutes if necessary before it sets. The exhaust connectors go on last after the framework's fitted. Again, it just makes it easier to do that, so you're not vying for room when you put on the main framework and brackets onto it. So next is to attach the bulkhead. Now there's 4 location points to put on. As you can see there, to an angle, to zoom in slightly for you to see this. I would do the 2 bottom ones first, then the 2 top, but you can easily do the side ones first or individually. It's entirely up to you really, however you feel comfortable in with them. The whole unit should just push into the location points quite easily enough, but you may need to use your tweezers just to guide them in. I did in fact use my tweezers just to make sure that I got a solid contact. So I think this is a good place to stop the video. It's quite a good place to stop now that the engine block's completed. So a lot more detail can be painted out onto the engine block if you're showing the engine block. I'm probably not going to be showing it, hence why I've only really half painted it as such. But even with the alignment I've done, it still stands out really well. So this is more just like a basic tutorial how I did it really. It's entirely up to you if you want to put more detail in it. But if you're closing it up, there's not much point. If you are having it shown completely, then I would advise you to put a lot more detail in it, because there's a lot you can do on this engine block to make it stand out. If you haven't done so already, have a look at my channel for all the other builds that I've done. Subscribe to the channel as well for updates, particularly on this build or any other the builds in the future. Hit that like button, and of course feel free to leave a comment. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.